Hey Fins fans, what's going on? It's your boy Dillon again. After a few days, haven't made a video in a few days. There hasn't obviously been a whole lot going on. But there is a bit of stuff that I've, been compiling over the past few days. A couple things here and there. Obviously, a couple little things came out today as well. So we're gonna talk about some things today. Go through a few things, and there's a couple articles that I want to read, with some stuff, specifically, opinions of other people on certain things and stuff, and then kind of go over that. So, to get right into it, we're going to start off with a little bit of Frank Gore news. There have been a few things recently, a few different articles talking about Frank Gore that are related to Frank Gore. And so we'll start with, there was an article recently that talked about how Frank Gore thought he was going to end his career in Miami. He just knew he was going to end his career in Miami. And in the article, he had even stated, and I believe he said this actually during an interview as well, that he had a conversation with Bobby McCain a couple years back when he was in his either his rookie or his second season, in which they were working out together, and he had told Bobby McCain, he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna be on that roster with you down there in Miami, one day," and then a couple years later or whatever it was, they get into the same locker room after we pick him up, and Bobby goes back to him and was like, "Damn man, you were right," and so. Basically, I mean, it's just kind of a feel-good piece. It's he's right now the league's 5th all-time leading rusher. He's very likely to poke up into number 4 this year, because I believe he only needs like 74 yards. So that should be pretty doable. But he's got a Hall of Fame career. He's been very durable. I mean, last year in Indy with luck out and a bad offensive line, he still rushed for 960 yards. At the age that he is, so he's going strong. I mean, he's just like Cam Wake, but for a running back. So anyway, like I said, just a feel-good piece. It's good that he played at I believe it was Coral Gables High School and for the University of Miami. So he gets to come home. That's where his family's from and everything. So I think it's great. I think that's pretty cool. Just a feel-good piece. We kind of been talking about that for a minute. And another article to tie in was talking about, Frank Gore's age. And basically, Adam Gase had said that Frank Gore being the age he is irrelevant. Same thing like Cameron Wake, because of how they take care of themselves and how they prepare and how they practice and all that good stuff. He's just a different person. I mean, that's basically what Gay said. I mean, he's a different guy, and it's irrelevant. The fact that he is the age that he is. He said in an interview not too long ago, earlier this offseason, that when he feels like he can't play anymore, he's not going to play anymore. So he still feels strong, he still feels good, and he's proven to be pretty durable. So, hopefully he stays that way, and he is a good complementary piece, to Kenyon Drake. The next thing, there was a story about how this off season, LaShawn McCoy, Shady McCoy of the Buffalo Bills, as you might know, Fins fans, is working with Frank Gore, working out with Frank Gore, rather, this offseason. So that's interesting. I mean, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care about that. It's just two athletes, in the league, and they're working out together. No big deal. I don't care if we're divisional rivals, whatever. LaShawn McCoy's a really good running back, so, good, Gore's working with him. Maybe he can learn some stuff. Maybe he can grow from it. He can always grow. Everybody can always grow, right? And, obviously McCoy, he wants to get some stuff from Gore. And that's cool. It's whatever, I don't think it's going to matter when it comes Sundays. And, when we play them, I think we're still going to hammer the Bills because, the entire team isn't LaShawn McCoy. So, I think we're going to handle business against our divisional rival up there in Buffalo. So I'm not really too worried about it. I just think it's kind of cool. Actually, frankly, I think it's kind of cool. All right, so that's all the news. There was a few different articles on Frank Gore recently, so I just kind of wanted to lump all those in together, throw those out there quick. Just some interesting stuff. I mean, it's the off season, so there's not really a lot to talk about. So they kind of just all these writers and stuff try and find something to talk about. Anyway, so moving on, there's an article from Dolphins Wire. I've been getting a lot of Dolphins Wire articles lately. I guess, mostly considering the fact that it is kind of slow. So this one was the 5 most important Dolphins, and I'm actually going to read this article to you and then comment a little bit. So the article is the 5 most important Dolphins for this season. The Miami Dolphins thought it was best to part ways with a number of their veterans during the offseason to create a new culture in their locker room. If the change will lead to more wins in the standings remains to be seen. But here are the 5 players that will need to perform well if the Dolphins want to return to the postseason in 2018. Now, obviously, they start with quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Which I will agree. Obviously, Tannehill has to play, well. I mean, he's the quarterback. Quarterback position has to play well. I think all of this crap about him being injury prone is crap. I don't worry about him being healthy. I mean, unless some, freak hit again happens like the Calais Campbell hit. I mean, it's just a bad stroke of luck. Sure, again, I'll say it one more time, and then I'm not talking about this again. But they should have got the surgery the first time. It is what it is. He has it now. He's stronger than ever. And his mentality has not changed. He's a tough-ass motherfucker. So, he's going to be good. Anyway, here's what they say. The Dolphins are putting their entire season on the fact that they believe Tannehill is completely healthy after suffering a second consecutive knee injury. Absolutely, they're putting their trust in him, and it's rightfully placed. He will prove it this season, and then everybody's going to shut up. And second consecutive knee injury, it was a re-injury of an already injured ligament. That's it. It wasn't 2 separate injuries. It was on 2 separate occasions, but it was just a re-injury of the same thing because they didn't get the surgery. And now he has it, so he's good. If Tannehill is healed, which he is, and regains his 2016 late season form, which he will, and then some. By the way, those were a little bit of me in there. The Dolphins will have a prime opportunity to claim one of the 2 AFC wildcard spots. If not, then the Dolphins could be a bottom feeder in the conference. Although the Dolphins would need to replace Jarvis Landry's 112 receptions from last year, the team did acquire Danny Amendola and Albert Wilson to help fill that production, and that should help Tannehill. So, first and foremost, we're about to win this division this year and shock the fucking world. So, fuck a wild card spot. That's all I gotta say about that. They are right, though. Danny Amendola and Albert Wilson, as well as Jakeem Grant, are going to be filling those 112 receptions and are, frankly, in my opinion, going to actually produce more than Jarvis Landry did as a collective unit, and we're not going to have some of the negatives that came with Jarvis Landry, whether they were his fault or not, because I agree if you want to argue that some of the penalties he got were bullshit. But he does tend to get a lot of penalties, and pretty big ones, indeed. 15-yard, whatever, offensive pass interference or illegal blocking or unnecessary roughness or whatever it is. So I think that's going to be, I honestly think we've improved with the acquisitions. And unfortunate, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Juice. I have his jersey. I wish it could have been different, but he is the way he is. And he went and got paid, so good for him. Moving on. The second, wide receiver Kenny Stills. Most fans will say Devontae Parker's production this season is critical, which it is. But the fourth-year receiver has proven he is just an average player up to this point. With Landry's departure, Stills could prove to be the biggest benefactor. Stills is an above-average receiver. He's a really, really good number 2. I don't think he's quite a number 1, but he's proven to be damn close. So, put it like this. First of all, Parker does need to have a really good season. He needs to finally break out as that number 1, that true number 1 receiver, and I believe he will. But then so hypothetically speaking, if he does that, right, think of it like this. Parker is your 1A, Stills is your 1B. Both number 1 receivers, slightly different builds and makeups and so on and so forth, but they both basically play like it. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a season with him and Parker having 1,000 yards. If Parker can break out like, we hope he can and needs to. Anyway, continuing on with what they have said. Last season, Stills recorded 58 catches for 847 yards and 6 touchdowns. Those numbers should increase even more now that he is the Dolphins' returning leading receiver. And it will. Like I said, I think he could easily have a 1,000-yard season. I think it's possible Devontae Parker could as well, because if he breaks out, those two get chunk yardage. So, let's see. And they could explode with, touchdowns as well, and they need to, for sure. Third on their list is defensive end Robert Quinn. The Dolphins released Ndamukong Suh mainly for salary cap purposes, but they also thought Suh didn't make the impact they thought he would when the Dolphins signed him in 2015. They hope Quinn can return to being one of the most feared pass rushers when he averaged 13.3 sacks from 2012 to 2014. If Quinn can become a double-digit sack player again, that will take a lot of pressure off Cameron Wake and the rest of the defensive line. Also, a great pass rush will also help the Dolphins' young secondary. So for this, I couldn't agree more. He's absolutely right. Quinn does need to be, get back to playing how he was a couple years ago. Obviously, he had injuries the past couple years, but he seems to be healthy. He seems to be moving around well from all indications. And also last year, he was playing a 3-4 linebacker, outside linebacker role. His natural position is 4-3 defensive end. So he should do a lot better being back home. And I think him and Cam Wake, and to say it again, beat another dead horse, the whole defensive line is going to be rotating a lot. So, he's going to be in there, Charles Harris, Andre Branch, but I think that group is going to be great, and I think he is going to get back up to double-digit sacks. I think him and Cam Wake will both have double-digit sacks.